it's your clickbait fam. We are back for another episode today. We are just going to break down some hot stories of the week that truly we have been talking about behind the scenes here. So we have the Bachelor Nation breakdown of the week. We have some clickbait, and we have an amazing guest. We have Kristina Schulman on today's podcast to really just give us some more insight on the, would you call it tea or dirt?
I would call it dirt. Right?
Ugh.
But I'm not one to say spill the tea anyways, so
that's okay. I'll say spill the tea. It's always tea to me, honey.
Okay.
And it's
tea, it's dirt. Hot. She's just like basically, we just have her coming in and talking about all the reality Steve, drama, bullshit, whatever you want to call it, because we have a lot to say about that. So you guys ready?
Let's do it.
Ready.
Okay, but first and foremost, we're going to start with Bachelor Nation Breakdown. And we have for our first headline, Rachel Lindsay is departing from Bachelor Happy Hour podcast after the 100th episode. Don't worry, though. She is not saying that this is forever a goodbye. This is more so just, I'm going to take a little hiatus, a little siesta. She is, she's just focusing on a lot of other things that she has going on right now. I mean, she is on Extra. She has a lot of things. She has a relationship. Brian just moved to LA. There's so many good things happening for Rachel. And so really, she just needs to focus on some of her other goals.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think it's great that they reached 100 episodes.
Woo!
Yeah, right? Rachel's been there from the beginning.
2 years, right?
Yeah. I remember when it first started. Rachel's been there from the beginning. For her, I think, after however many years talking about Bachelor so consistently gets it could become too much.
Well, it drains. It's sometimes it could drain your energy, especially to the capacity that we do it. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a lot of heavy things that are going on in the world in general, but I also feel like, and we've talked about this in the past, like Bachelor Nation people look to us at times to constantly have something to say about every single thing that happens. And it is draining. We've said this before. And so, again, she's always talked about like taking care of your mindset and your mental health and your inner peace. And like, if this is what she needs in order to do exactly that, it's kind of what she needs to do.
Yeah.
Natasha, you were going to say something good.
Well, I was just going to say that also, just to address the elephant in the room, everything that she does say about Bachelor Nation gets meticulously picked apart by certain people, dissected and, from these different news outlets. And, Rachel, we had a conversation and she was just like, I don't have any negative press or anything negatively said about me besides from this franchise. From people saying things about her from this franchise. She does so many things. She has another podcast. She has Extra. She has so many things that she does. And she's just speaking what she feels. These are her opinions. And she has made that very clear. Hey, this is my opinion. Take it or leave it. Mm-hmm. But she gets no other negative press other than what people dissect from the way that she said this or the way that she said that. She's like, listen, I got my man. I got to focus on that. I got all these other things going on. And I'm not a negative person. And she really isn't. I mean, I don't know if you got, I know Tayshia, you know her, but Joe, I don't know if you know her, but no, she is a freaking light of life. Like, she's so sweet and so helpful and so great. And just to be known as this bad guy in the franchise by some people, of course, a lot of people love her as well. She was like, I just need a break. And I'm glad that she's taken that. And I'm so excited for her and to see what else she's going to do and all those different things. And I know that she's not going to be a stranger. Maybe one day we'll get her to come on clickbait.
Oh my gosh, that would be fun. She says she might pop in every once in a while. So you never know on which podcast.
Exactly.
What, Joe?
I appreciate when people are real. Like I know there's going to be things I say that people agree with and people don't agree with. But I always want to be true to myself and just say how I feel. And if people don't like it, too bad. And that's why I respect Rachel, because she does that.
Yes.
And in this world specifically, you get picked apart for that, and especially on the internet, because everybody's got an opinion.
Right.
But I think Rachel, she's just going to keep keeping it real, and good for her.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
good for her. We just wanted to send our love and just do your thing, girl. Do what you got to do. What?
But wait. So what do you guys, who do you guys, I mean, is Becca just going to be talking to guests now? Like, what do you guys think is going to happen? Do we have any people that we think, is Rachel going to tap anyone and be like, boo, I'm tapping you in? Like,
oh my gosh,
what do you guys
I didn't even think about that. I mean, it's altogether possible. I mean, I think that there needs to be another co-host on Bachelor Happy Hour, but I feel like they might be doing like auditions when lots of people come in and see who could possibly fill the role. Like, you remember like Kelly and Ryan? Yeah. How like Ryan did a bunch of auditions? Yes.
Anyway. Yes. Love that. Yeah. Maybe we'll bring in a bachelor.
Who you... I wonder who. Okay, so next up for Bachelor Nation Breakdown, we have neuroscientists speaking on why Bachelorettes have more success than Bachelors. And I mean, like, obviously, Joe's going to hate this article.
No, I actually don't hate it. I don't hate it. I agree with it.
That's strange because basically it says that women are smarter. I'm just kidding. It just says women are primed for a very... Joe.
No, I agree. I do agree with this.
No, yeah. So basically it just says that like the Bachelorettes come in with a very clear purpose and intention because like we have been kind of raised, I guess, from like a really young age of this like fairy tale of like falling in love and doing this and that. But it just says that we come in with, maybe we're hopeless romantics a little bit more.
Well, I think, well, here's the thing. And I've always, and people are going to agree or disagree with this, but I've always, believed this. Men, for the most part, we think with our dicks. I mean, that's kind of, that is something.
Did you see my eyes? I was like,
I mean, that is something that is definitely, I believe somewhat holds true. Okay.
Yeah.
And I feel like women, when they go into this, into The Bachelor, they're really focused on that goal of my fairy tale wedding. I want to get married. I want to find somebody I could spend the rest of my life with, where I think guys kind of look at it like, oh, she's sexy, or, oh, I'm into her. And I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think it's kind of typical, but, whatever.
Okay. What, Natasha, what are you looking like that for? Oh, God.
Yeah.
What?
No, I'm just listening. I mean, geez, I think that this is very interesting. Men think with their dicks. Wow.
You don't think that though? You don't think that? I mean,
I agree.
I do think that, but I think so. When I think about the journey that the Bachelor goes on, and it's like, is he just overwhelmed by all these women, and then it doesn't get serious until it dwindles down to fantasy suites? Like I don't know. I mean, that's
But maybe in the beginning of the process, some things like might stand out a little bit more, like things that you're typically used to, like this girl's this height, this like ethnicity, this like
boobs. Do you hear this guy? Boobs.
Her boobs. You know what I mean? Like so there are maybe superficial things that stand out in the beginning of the process, as opposed to, and then towards the end, he's like trying to figure it out. He's like, wait, what's going on here?
Well, I've heard multiple Bachelorettes say they knew very early on who was going to be in like this, that the person they ended up picking was going to be, in their top 2 or top 4 or whatever you want to call it, was going to make it far. They knew very early on. Whereas does that happen for men since they're thinking with the wrong head?
I think they think who's hot, right? Date night 1, but not like, damn, I'm going to wife that up.
You what?
I'm not saying every guy does it. I'm just saying it's.
Come on, Joe. This is your Bachelor campaign. Come on.
I know. Really, Joe, sell us. You're not really.
It's a lot of girls.
Basically, you're saying it should just be The Bachelorette from now on.
Keep your mouth shut. No, I don't know. I mean, I just think women. I think women plan for the future better than men.
I agree with that statement. That was that was well said. Mm-hmm.
No, I was just gonna say, shout out to Sean Lowe for knowing what was up.
MVP.
Yeah.
Ain't no one like you.
I'm telling you, he is the MVP. Mm-hmm. Okay. That was what
the other thing that I thought was really interesting was that the neuroscientists also had noted that although women may have more success in the series, it's possible that they are more affected by the social media backlash. And like we as women have a harder time with dealing with the struggle of anxiety and depression and all that stuff and like taking in all that energy. And I thought that was really interesting because I I don't know if the guys really pay attention to all that is being said when they are on the show, like as a bachelor. Maybe they do.
Well, I also think it depends on your life experiences, how you were raised, what you could handle.
That's true.
You know, some people are just more sensitive than others.
I mean, I don't think it's sensitive.
Well, yeah, maybe that's not the right word, but
I just remember when I was watching back my season, there were episodes that I could not watch back. And I think it's because I was so fully invested, obviously. And I did genuinely have feelings for these people, but that like time has been moved on and it affects me a little bit. Like it could still pull at my heartstrings. You know what I mean? And as for men, like they just kind of move on. You know what I mean? It's said and done. It's in the past. They don't really think about that. I don't know if they dwell on it. I just thought it was very interesting.
I don't know. I know a lot of guys that
still replay shit in their head.
That's it. It's affected for sure from the backlash that they get from fans or people.
Backlash, yeah.
Backlash, I get that, but also like what I think what Tayshia's saying about everyone's living this in the now, and right while it's airing, but you already lived it, so you to watch it back would bring you back to a place that you kind of got through or got over, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like, you know, these Bachelor guys are probably having watch parties. Like, look at me, look at her. Yeah, she's
exactly.
Yeah. And they focus more on that opposed to like the, oh gosh, that conversation, or oh gosh, that. I mean, I don't know. I would have to. We got to phone a Bachelor and see. I don't know.
But that's a good idea.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, there's that. Okay, but also there's something else that we have to talk about that's been, it's been actually a heavy week, I feel, in Bachelor Nation because of some of the news that has been circulating around, which leads to our next Bachelor Nation breakdown, talking about the Chatty Broads interview with Jade and Jenna Cooper about their experience with Reality Steve. And this Reality Steve, should I say, is a man that I never thought that we would be able to talk about openly about the things that he has done, because I had always feared that he would come back after one of us kind of thing, because he has so much power.
Really?
Are you joking?
Okay.
There's so much going on here and there's so much to like talk about. And if you guys haven't listened to the Chatty Broads interview with Jade and Jenna, it's insane. It's amazing. And another person that I cannot wait to talk to is also Kristina Schulman, who's going to be here any minute now. So,
I listened to the whole podcast. You know, you really feel for both of the girls that were affected, and what's going on with him and Demi. And there's flirting, there's and then there's harassment. You know, you have to get to a point with somebody where it's okay to flirt or talk sexually. And I think that, you know, there comes a point when you know that's okay and the woman knows that's okay. Clearly that wasn't the situation here. Yeah. I'm gonna go back to just Reality Steve in general. For me, I never understood the Reality Steve thing. I never got it. I never understood why people gave him interviews. I never understood why anyone paid attention to him. When you go on The Bachelor, that's something that they tell you is like, hey, there's this guy, Reality Steve. I looked at him like, this guy's a douchebag. I would never give this guy an interview. Why would I? I think it just makes you look bad. So I never got the Reality Steve thing, and I'm not shocked by it.
Yeah.
Personally.
I guess, I mean, did he ever come after you personally?
I don't read him. I really don't.
Well, I mean, I think you would know if he came after you. And I think one of the things is that it seems like, from what I've seen, he tends to come after women a lot more than he does the men, which also isn't cool, right? Not saying that he should come after men as well, but just period. It seems like there's an underlying issue here with women. Also, I saw that he had a live. And he talked about, I couldn't even watch the whole thing because I was just like, ugh. But because it was just a lot of mansplaining, in my opinion. But he said he was turning off the comments because he had heard enough over the last 24 hours. He said, verbatim, you can only take so much from being called every name in the book for 24 hours. And I'm listening to him say this and I'm like, but this is exactly the pain that you put the women through when you say these things that are true, not true, that you don't even know, that you speculate, or that you go after someone and say something, and they're going through this, and it's on a deeper level. You know, he prides himself by being a one-man band and not being cancelable, but at the same time, it's not about being canceled or losing your job. When someone says you're canceled, that's not about losing your job. That's about your credibility. And I think what the Chatty Broads podcast wanted to bring to light is that you have to be wary about where you're getting your information. And that's on all accounts. You know, anyone can, Tayshia, you have a bunch of followers on Instagram. You can go on Instagram and say, I hate beanies. Beanies are the worst thing in the world. And now so many people are going to agree with that with you and not, you know, they rip my hair out. Like, now everyone get rid of beanies. It's like, no. It's like, this is one person's opinion of something. So he claims that he has all these facts when he doesn't.
I was just going to say, that's the problem ridiculous. Though. The problem is it's not just the fact that he is saying that there are things out there. He is saying that I have facts, I have phone calls, I have receipts, I have messages, this, that. And so that is really what instills the fear in all of these people. Not that they think that they did anything wrong, but it's like, well, okay, like obviously I did something and I don't want it to leak out because you're taunting me with all of it. You know what I mean?
What he said about Jade and how graphic it was, like, you're a grown ass man. And that's how you're talking about a person that was just on reality TV. I mean, it's just fucking ridiculous. That's why, to me, I just never gave him any credibility, because I'm like, this guy, all this guy has ever done is talk shit about people from the show.
Well, he can have his opinions, whatever. You're right. He's not a journalist. He doesn't have a fact checker. He's not, like, he is a person that is just making up shit as he goes, but now he's getting caught in it. Okay. But the thing is, he can have his opinions about us, but when it gets to personal, when you start to like actually put down a person, and like for myself, I have been personally victimized by him on multiple accounts. And it's not even just like, I don't know, it's like deeply personal. And so like, I get that, like, you can say things about people, whatever, and have opinions, and you just shut it all off. But once it gets personal, you start digging into someone's past, and you start literally, I don't know how to explain it. I really don't. I hate this man.
I'll say this, Tayshia, because, you know, he's never, from what I know, came for me, but one of my really close friends from my season, Victoria Fuller, who I adore, he released a lot of things about her during our season. I remember coming home and she was still away, you know, filming because she was still there, and seeing all these things on the internet about her. I do know that I spent so much time with this person, and I don't know who this reality Steve person is, and I feel awful that all these things are being said and she can't defend herself. She has no idea that these things are being said about her because she's away. She doesn't have her phone, all these different things that he knows as well. That was all ridiculously bullshit. Right? So she comes home and I'm just like, you know, I know she's sad because I know how I felt when I left the show, that part. But now she has to come home from a broken heart and then also hear all these lies that are being spewed about her, to the point where she would call me crying night after night because she's getting messages from random people who live in Idaho that she's never met before, who's like, my husband's cheating. I know he's cheating with you. And that's why when Jenna was on the podcast and she said that he said all these things about her, and it was suspected that her boss was cheating, and then his wife just assumed it was her. Like, what? Like, these are people's lives that you are messing with. And people out there, when you know, the internet is a scary place and we know that, but he said he had all these receipts, all these facts. He never released anything about Victoria. And now she just has this stigma around her.
That's what it is.
She has a stigma around her as this person who's this or that or whatever you want to call it because of reality, Steve.
But it's because we look at our cell phones for 14 seconds, right? On each post. Like, we just grab the key bits of information. And that is unfortunately, you kind of believe it. But then next time you hear a name, like, you associate with what you just read with that person. And it's like, oh, well, she just cheated on her boyfriend, right? And like, sometimes I'm not saying everybody believes it, but I'm just saying, like, we scroll through this feed every freaking day. And there are a lot of people that listen to this man that then takes that information and creates all these other things that, like, it's to the point where if you are looking at Bachelor Nation stuff on your phone, you're gonna see this information in some way, shape, or form on another Bachelor account, like on another headline. It's going to get picked up by E-News. It's going to be picked up by something. And you just start building this stigma or this idea of who these people are based off of this man spreading lies about these people.
A middle-aged man spreading rumors about reality contestants. I mean, you can't get more pathetic than that, in my opinion.
And also, I'll say this, his power, right? And why a lot of people, and that's why we have to applaud Jade and Jenna for coming out and speaking about this, and also Christina and also Demi and all of the people who are saying things, because his power really is so great. And one thing I know that my season, Champagne Gate with Kelsey and Hannah Ann, right? Mm-hmm. He took, for the most part, Hannah Ann's side. So when the show was airing, everyone was reaming Kelsey about this because of how he felt about this type of situation. So his influence is very high. So that's why people are like, like they don't want to come for him because they know how his influence is. But the other thing that I want to bring up is one of the reasons why I think he's so powerful is he will do these spoilers and say, hey, this person goes home on their like Natasha goes home on her 101. This person goes home at hometowns. This, and so he's right about the certain chronological order of things that are happening on the actual show. But that leads for me to think there's someone feeding him this information, right? Who knows who, but there's someone feeding him this information. So people hear that, oh yeah, actually that person did go home on their 101. That person did go home before hometowns. That person did do this and do that. And this was the winner. And he was right about that. So he has to be right about Jade. He has to be right about Jenna. And that's not the case.
Yeah. Well, that's, right? You know what? And that's why we have official Bachelor podcast now, because we do our research.
I feel like there's one other point too. And again, I might be a little bit biased because I do pay attention, I think, a little bit more to some things. But like, even me as being the Bachelorette, okay, like he spews little things that happen during a season, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously we film, then we go home. Mm-hmm. But there's like a downtime before the season starts airing, or even when the season starts airing, he comes up with little tidbits, okay, of information. Even like him saying like, I'm no longer in a relationship and she really wanted to be with someone else and now she's dating somebody, like, which he said that about me.
Wait, he said that about you when?
He said that I wasn't with Zach anymore and I started dating somebody else again. It's like, because that was really my first choice. And that gets inside my person's head. Like that gets inside Zach's head. Like, wait, so were you really, did you really want to be with me? Where does this, like, someone that's not versed in this world, those things his family starts like seeing it. His family was like taking that into account. I'm like, you guys have to understand that reality Steve is not a source of facts, and he just spewing shit to ruin people's life. I'm still getting shit about having a boyfriend up to the night before leaving for Colton season, because some people thought that about me, which was never freaking true. And he went out and did all this damage to my character. Yep. And that's still what people say. Like, I get messages about that still to this day.
Yeah. There's
when he came out and said I wasn't even dating him. Like, but it doesn't matter. Reality Steve said it. So, and it was there for months on end.
Mm-hmm. There is, we should expect a lot when you go on reality TV, because you're putting yourself out there.
Absolutely.
And some of it's going to be great and some of it's going to suck. And that's just the reality of it. But when somebody's out there just making shit up, well, fuck him. I mean, that's how I feel about it.
You sign up for, unfortunately, we're open to criticism. Okay. Yeah, people are going to criticize us, and we know that. Yeah. But we're not signing up to be tortured, and we're not signing up for people to like completely fabricate things and degrade our character. That's defamation of character.
Right. Especially without facts, like real facts.
Real facts. But he says he has some.
If you're going to do that, then that's the kind of person you are. And you know what? There's assholes in this world, and they're never going to go away, and there's nothing you could do about it. But I mean,
but real facts also, by the way, receipts are not text messages, because I right now could change Tayshia's number or Tayshia's name in my phone and say, hey, Tayshia. I could change it to Joe and be like, hey, Tayshia, text me this, and then screenshot and be like, oh, look at these receipts Joe just sent me. No, like that could be literally anyone. So his whole receipts and emails, and I can create an email account right now and send it to Reality Steve, blah, 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 this, like anything. And anyone can do that. So these receipts that he says that he has, and he's not talking to the actual source. He didn't call you, Tayshia, and say, hey, are you and Zach still together? Right? Yeah. Like these are not, that's the real tea. That's the real receipts. So he's not doing that. And also, I do have to say about the Chatty Broads as well. I have to commend Jess, who was talking and calling herself out, because she called herself out about the whole Victoria thing. And she was like, hey, I was like, ooh, that girl's bad news just from hearing about what Reality Steve said. And she called herself out for believing him like so many other people have and done. And so I commend her and anyone else who's just like, you know what? That is messed up. That is wrong. And listen, when we know better, we do better. And now building this awareness and building this attention to seeing that, listen, he can go on and keep doing his blogs and keep doing his thing and keep doing this and doing that. And if people subscribe to spoil the show, I want to know who this person ends up with, by all means, do that. But realize that whatever you hear about a specific contestant, if it's not coming from that person, please take it with a very small grain of salt.
Yeah. And okay, so we do have our guests, but I do want to say this to future contestants coming on this show or just going on reality TV. I really believe you should always be aware of who you're speaking to and really do your own research, because you could give an interview to somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, and that's never a good look, and it's not going to be a good look for you. And that's just the bottom line. All right. That really is our clickbait of the week. You could tell we're a little aggravated because it's affected a lot of people from our world, especially the women, and they are brave and they're coming forward. And it's about time people are listening, and people listening to Reality Steve, in my opinion, it's ridiculous. And if you don't know that by now, I think this is enough proof. We're aggravated. You know, even listening to Tayshia, who I'm close with, and seeing how affected she is, the whole thing's fucking annoying. And right now we have a guest on who is one of my favorite people in Bachelor Nation, but she's also been affected by Reality Steve, and she's going to talk about it right now. Please welcome Kristina Schulman to the show. All right, Kristina, we want to give you our platform to talk about your experience with Reality Steve and everything you went through. We're going to ask you some questions along the way. I watched your IG story, and you mentioned that he made your life hell. So why don't we start from the beginning and how that all started, and we'll go from there.
I mean, it's just, I guess over the years, I kind of stopped paying attention too much about it. I would still hear Reality Steve like talking negatively of me. And so I feel like having been on my show back in 2017 when it all started and kind of stopped because I just kind of like stopped responding to him. But to this day, I still feel like my name is brought up in very much a negative light. So I think that hell kind of like trickled and lasted for years afterwards. So go ahead.
Okay, when you say negative, can you give me some examples of like how was he talking negatively about you?
I mean, he would be to this day be saying like if I could basically date every Bachelor guy, or if I want to be the Bachelorette, I would pay the show to be one. Just like anything to like just jab at me to keep my name in his mouth somehow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think like I do think it's personal at this point for him.
I have a question. When did you first learn about who Reality Steve was? Was it when it was after your season, or did you know who he was before you went on the show?
I kind of knew of his name. I never like read spoilers or anything like that. Just like he was the person, and afterwards, that's when I was like, who is this guy? Because like my name was mentioned and people would send me stuff like, oh, he said this about you. And it's like, you would go on a website to search your own name, what is being said sometimes. And his name would only pop up and there wasn't any other source. So like he was really planting a seed in my life at that point.
Yes.
Why do you think it was personal? Like, why would he come after you? Like, what was the point?
There was a point.
Okay.
So there was a time post my first Paradise season. Obviously, there was like a love triangle, and there was a lot of buzz around it and how things ended. And there was a time where I'm going to say Dean and I tried to see if there was anything there between the two of us before we finally called it quits. And it was, I think, in September of 2017, maybe.
Okay.
And we were all going to a trip in Nashville together. And it was like a last minute thing where both of us ended up going together. And so we're like, okay, well, let's see what happens here. And we're checking into a hotel together, and somebody snapped a picture. And Steve sent it to me. He was like, I'm going to post this. I was like, please don't, because there's people in my life that this is going to probably hurt. Like, nobody really knows about this. It's just between the two of us trying to figure it out.
Okay, wait. I just want to clarify this. So he sent you a picture of you and Dean walking into a hotel room. What did he send it to you on, like, Instagram, and said basically somewhat blackmailing you, saying,
right, holding over you?
This.
Well, he said he didn't even send me a picture to show that there's proof that he knew.
Okay.
So it was just like his word saying like, oh, I know you're checking into a hotel together, and I'm going to write about it. And I was like, at that point, I haven't decided if I can how do I backtrack a little? Like, he would say things, and sometimes you either believe it because he had concrete proof, or you just take his word for it. So when he said, I know you're with Dean, I wasn't sure if I should take his word for it. And then when he sent me a picture, like, oh, here's a picture, like, I have it. I was like, okay. And then I was like, please don't. Like, again, there's people in my life that this is going to affect, and I haven't had a chance to tell them. So he still posted it.
But so it wasn't a question. He wasn't like, hey, can I post this? Or what do you think about this? He just said, I'm posting this. I'm letting you know before I do it, period. That's kind of what the context was. Okay, got it.
Right. And when you said, please don't. Sorry, Tayshia. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it sounds like obviously like this was not the first time you had spoken to him. And by him, I mean Reality Steve. So was this the first time that he had a photo that he can actually expose, and before it was just like words? Or like how did you guys start talking in the beginning?
In the beginning, it actually dates back to post my season of The Bachelor airing. And there was another person's name involved that he pretty much despises. And the conversation was that I was seeing this guy and how slimy this guy that I was seeing is. And he starts sending me some screenshots of emails that people would send him or messages. So that's where he kind of got my credibility, because he had proof of people sending in stuff. And I would read these messages myself. And I was like, okay, so this guy, I was all new to it. So I was like, he has credibility, he has sources, people are messaging him. That's when it first started. And then I remember him publishing something that wasn't true. And I asked about the person that I was seeing. And I said, kind of like, that's incorrect. He said, do you want me to change it? And I said, yes, because that's not the truth. And he never did. So that's where it first started. And then my season of Paradise started. And then he also sent me more messages that are like proof of email, like a screenshot about a person that doesn't matter how much somebody wants to know information. This is something you just don't send out to anyone.
Got it.
It's like, I have this vision of a person in my mind. Like, at the beginning, I was like, wow, this person did this. And like that totally changed my kind of perspective on them. But to this day, I'm like, it just.
Did you ever find out if that was true? This thing that he said, or allegedly is true? Because like I said earlier in the podcast, I could create an email right now that says, blah, blah, blah from Joe, and email you some awful things about myself or Tayshia. And it's like, Joe said this? Oh my God. But it was really me, so it's like, Did you ever find out if those things were actually true that he was saying or not?
And Natasha, don't do that, okay?
I won't.
Oh my God, Joe!
I won't do that. I'm just saying how easy it is. How easy it is.
I completely agree. But in my case, there was like 2 different emails that were structured about almost a very similar topic, and it would honestly take like language interpreter to like interpret the email if there was similarities in writing. I did not want to find out whatever was written in that message if it was true, because horrific.
Yes,
but send something like that to me, like even if I'm begging for information, don't do it.
Yes.
Like,
and I just want to know that everyone might be like, well, why are you even talking to him? Why are you even reading these messages? Blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, but we're human. Okay. Right. And when somebody messages us and says like, oh, I have this information, like, we're all curious. We're all going to read it. Like we're not above any of that. So you kind of like start getting into this hole of like, okay, wait, this guy has facts. This guy has information. Like, and you start to believe. That's the problem. I think here is the fact is like some things are concrete proof, like that he's saying, like the photo of you and Dean. Clearly you guys were together, but then there's other things that he could just be fabricating that you really can't tell what's real and what's not.
And it's like, if he was willing to send stuff like that to me about someone else, what was he doing to somebody else about me?
Exactly.
So that kind of like, I was like...
So I'm listening to this and I'm trying to figure out like what his motive is, because to me, it just sounds like, in your case, it sounds like he's he would be a creepy, jealous ex-boyfriend. So for just a stranger to be doing this to you, I'm just like, it's just so bizarre. It really is. And like, I don't understand what kind of person would do this, but let's just keep going with your story. So then does it just all completely die out, or like what happens next?
Well, I think that was the last straw, is whenever he still posted the picture after I asked him not to. Like that time was quite traumatic for me, just because I was like, I'm already having so much disapproval from around me, like, but I want to like learn it for myself, find out for myself. And it's like, nobody knows the relationship you're in better than you do.
Right.
And he just kept throwing this information at me. And the more it became public, like the more judgment there was out there. And I remember just being like, having so much anxiety, like what will be out, what pictures are being taken, like how are people in my life going to react. And that's when I was like, like I can't be like this. The best way to do is just to stop it. But that was not before I almost had to beg him not to post it, almost like trading my loyalty to him. I'll say like, basically I'll do anything. And then I just die down, like ghosted. I mean, I have messages after messages after messages where he was like, where are you? How was your trip? And just unanswered. But I mean, it's just the best way. I think that's what his ego got hurt. After that, like me not responding, and that's why it became personal for years after.
I see. Because it's like the nerve of you to not respond now. I see. Now that makes sense. And honestly, it's like, who are you? You're a person who's trying to rip people's lives apart. So not going to answer.
Can I ask you, and I think one of the best parts about you, Christina, is that like you are no bullshitter. Like you call it out. Like you're just you and you're real. But I feel like, did you ever feel like you couldn't come forward and be like, who the heck are you? Like, why are you talking about me? Like, did you ever feel like you had to not say anything because he would come out and say more things about you? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, did you feel like you couldn't come out and fight this guy online and be like, stop listening to him? Everything that he's saying, he's like just skewing this entire stigma about me or this storyline about me. Like, what compelled you to just kind of stay silent and just like kind of gives him so much power?
So at the time, I was kind of scared of him. Like, what information does he have?
Right.
Not that there's anything terrible about me. I think I was more concerned about people in my life that it was all new to them, this whole Bachelor, and then reading spoilers and how I'm being perceived by the public. Like, people in my life cared about that. And I was kind of scared, like, what else will he say and come out with? And then just over the years, I kind of let it go, I think, because the damage was done. And then like, there's not much more he can say. And I'm kind of like over it.
Right.
Now that, I just also thought like nobody probably will listen to me like coming out and saying something about him on my own at this point. Like,
right.
Sadly, but you almost need a few people together to like bring this one person, like awareness to this one person, because he's the only one, well, at the time and even to this day in Bachelor Nation who does the spoilers and people like know of and go to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like whenever he says something,
people run with it.
People run with it, and there's nobody else to fact check with, because it's like,
in your words, like not it's about you, but your words not big enough almost to
That's
to
what
put
I thought.
that to
I was
bed.
like, I'm just this big if I'm coming out on my own. I just
Did you reach out to anybody else from your season or from the show and see if like he's done the same thing to them or anything like that?
I know there's a few others. I think he just like had a maybe personal vendetta against me because I wasn't listening to his messages necessarily.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is not to cut you off, but what I'm asking you is when it happened and you don't want, and you're at the time nervous or, you know, you're hesitant to talk about it because you feel like nobody's going to believe you. Mm-hmm. Did you reach out to anybody that was on your season or even Dean or somebody and be like, hey, like, is this guy coming after you too? Like, you know, that's kind of what I'm asking.
I mean, I'm sure I've talked to Dean before because we were both in it. The girls on my season, I think they had their own problems with him, or some of them I know probably, not probably. I know that I have talked to him and like stayed on good terms. So like I couldn't talk to them. It was just what I was going through with Reality Steve was something I had to turn to my hometown friends to, because like that was the reality. The bubble I was in was so amplified. So I was like, okay, I need to like check, like, is this getting out? Is this as big as it actually is as I'm experiencing it, if that makes sense?
Yes. Yeah, no, and you know what? I will say this, Joe, to sort of go on your question. I talked to just randomly when I heard that all this stuff was happening, I talked to 3 girls from my season and just asked them, hey, has Reality Steve ever messaged you some weird shit? All of them said yes. So like, if that, you know, so that's just 3 people from my season. I'm sure we heard Jade's testimony. We heard Jenna. We're hearing you. Like, he's definitely, this is an issue. This is a problem. And going off of what you said too, Kristina, how you felt like your voice wasn't big enough on your own and you needed, you know, people to come in. And we've seen this happen historically with men and women. You know, one woman accuses one man of something, preferably or normally a white man of something, and nothing happens. But we have to get a gang of people. And I think that's why it's so important to listen when people say things like, this makes me feel uncomfortable, and not say you're being overly sensitive or, you know, all the little buzzy words that people say to downplay how a woman is feeling. So you know, I'm so happy that you are speaking up and saying how you feel, because it does matter. And that you being afraid that your voice doesn't matter against his, we have to change that. We have to change that narrative, right?
I was just going to say, if I were to speak up, the people that will listen to what I have to say is the loyal followers. And those loyal followers also read what Reality Steve posts. And they already have an idea of me that he's planted in their minds. So it's like, okay, well, she's speaking out. She's only salty because X, Y, Z.
Because he said this about her.
Which is what I was going to say. It's like sometimes people think it's so petty when you have something to say to counteract what he's saying. Because like, well, why are you paying attention to that? And you're like, because he's spreading false lies about me and it hurts. Yes. But people just like immediately dismiss you like, oh, well, it must be true. You're getting defensive about it. And so you almost feel pigeonholed. Like, I don't have enough people behind me. He has like this crazy army of people that just listen to him for God knows why. I don't know. And it's a scary place to be in when it's like you have to defend yourself like for who you really are. But again, still nobody listens. Like,
Yes.
Right.
The fact that you guys are all coming out, I just want to say thank you though, because I'm sure it's really hard. And I don't think that you guys all thought that this would ever happen. I mean, did you ever think that at some point Reality Steve would be
on the chopping
block?
I don't
know. Yeah. Like all of these things would be coming out about him. I didn't think so. Did you?
It was a matter of time. I mean, I didn't think it would take really years, but I just think whenever you put out so much negativity into the world, it's bound to come back somehow.
Right.
Preach.
Karma has no deadline, honey. Karma has no deadline. It will come find you. Sorry.
Yes, I say this. If you're a person who tries to end people, the way that you end them is the way you will end. And that's exactly what's happening right now.
I agree with that.
It's the exact, if you're one of those people that's just like, I'm going to end you, it's going to come right back around, right? But now I'd want to ask another question, because the fishing is also, he reached out to you and he had this information, blah, blah, but apparently he also fishes for this information from certain people. So
yes,
allegedly, people from your Bachelor season, from Nick's season, he would give people like gift cards, like Sephora gift cards and Victoria's Secret gift cards for information. What? Have you heard about this?
I've heard about this. I was never one of those people to receive it. But
you have heard that he does that.
Yes.
Nobody thought that was weird?
Yeah, I mean, that's weird.
Victoria's Secret.
Listen, I don't know, but it started Jade's season. I think it was becoming very prominent during my season. And then he just snowballed from there and just he felt untouchable maybe. Actually, I don't know how he felt, but maybe so on top of the world that he had all this, he was sitting on all this information and what am I trying to say?
Well,
or credibility. I mean, honestly, he feels like he has credibility with his audience. And so that gives this untouchable thing. And that's why when Demi said what she said, it was like, the power that he has is very relevant. And I think that's exactly what you mean, in the sense of he felt this untouchable feeling. And that's why he did that, right?
Again, he's kind of still the only one that people turn to. I mean, there are other sites now that I hope take off that just post what it is. Spoilers without attaching their opinion as a fact. That was my biggest problem too.
Yes.
Can I ask you, did he reach out to you and apologize recently?
I should read you this message.
Basically,
I'm going to quickly summarize it because I was like, are you kidding?
And I do want to say something to our listeners that we also don't want to play the same game he's playing. So if we don't know for sure that he's sent girls or other people gifts,
right? It is allegedly. We've heard this.
We heard it. We don't know if it's true. It's something that we heard, but we don't know if it's true. So I don't want to get caught making shit up about him because why do that?
Right.
But go ahead, Kristina.
I mean, if you do that to me, I would tell you if you sent me a gift. So that way there will be definite credibility to that. Back to it. The message was after I posted my Instagram. I'm just going kind of maybe summarizing. So I made you feel this way. I'd like to talk to you about this if that's okay. I know the cool thing is to pile on right now like you did, but I'm taking the time to reach out to people. Would love to talk to you. What kind of message is that? Hey, just because he would not have reached out to apologize to me if I did not say anything.
Right.
But the fact that I did, hey, I'd like to talk to you, but since you're on the bandwagon with everyone else calling me out, let me get the conversation in with you. That's how I'm interpreting this.
So wait, was this okay? Because I don't know the timeline of events, okay, but I think that he tweeted something about all the things that he's done in the past, and then Demi came out the next day, right, saying no, you haven't changed, Steve, right? And then more people started following after that. And then you came after Demi. Is that correct? And then he messaged you saying that?
Yeah, after few hours afterwards, I guess it got some traction. My
very
my
interesting
story got some traction, and he came out, sent me a text message. I mean, I have nothing to say to him.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't even respond.
And talk all about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't even respond if I were you. And it's just typical of somebody. It's typical of somebody who dishes it out talks shit about so many different people. And then when the table flips,
can't take it.
He can't take it. He just can't deal with it. So then he's going to throw messages like that.
It's damage control.
Right.
God, I have so many things I want to say. Oh God, my heart is like,
Tayshia.
No, I'll show you this.
All right, we got
Uh-oh.
This is my response from Reality Steve.
Whoa.
He wrote that to you? When?
This was before all of that stuff happened. Well, this was like, I think right after his tweet.
Okay, so for anyone listening, Tayshia just showed us, I know you guys are listening and not on the Zoom, but Tayshia just showed us a thick paragraph from Reality Steve.
I've let me note this, and I don't want to take this away from you, Christina, because we're talking about you right now.
This is open conversation because...
But like, I have never, this is the first message I've ever received from him, like ever.
Mm-hmm.
But so he hasn't really taunted me with like saying, like, I have this about you. Mm-hmm. Instead, he's gone straight to, he's fished around, tried to message all of my friends, tried to message like old, like exes, all of the above, looking for information to talk shit about me. So like nothing was ever speculated. And I'm talking like, he was going for, like, he has a vendetta against me. And I don't know what it is. But what I'm trying to say is this man has truly gone above and beyond to bring people down and to try to ruin people's lives.
Well, and it also sounds like it's all, I mean, at this point, it sounds like it's all, sounds like there's a dog. No, at this point, it sounds like it's all women. I mean, because I don't know any guys
all women
that he's even messaged, right? I mean, is it just all women he's messaging?
I don't know. We have to phone the guys and see.
It goes deep for me. Like messaging a bunch of my friends. Like my friends have shown me screenshots of him messaging them, looking for shit / dirt on me. So it's just like, it makes my blood boil that like so many women have really just been victimized by this man.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's not doing anything wrong. Like he probably gets off on the fact that like so many people are ganging up on all of us and like having these ideas about us, and he has this power.
Yes. And
why do you think he doesn't think he's doing anything wrong? Where do you think that mentality comes from? Because he
acts like he has facts. Like he acts like, oh, well, clearly this is a skeleton in your closet. Clearly you did this.
I think that I'm going to be honest
Sounds
with
delusional.
you. I think it might be, yes.
He's a 55-year-old man talking about us on reality TV, okay?
You know, I'm not a psychiatrist or anything like that, but it sounds like there's a probably a deeper issue with women that he probably hasn't faced. And this is just my personal opinion. I'm not a psychiatrist, but also I will say that one thing that we haven't brought up yet is the fact, and on Chatty Broads, they brought this up. He's making money off of basically the tormenting and the false lies and the things that he's spreading around about people, because he gets money from clicks, right? Yeah. And multiple people, including my friend, Victoria, who I brought up before, you know, these people, and Jenna said it as well, people are losing money and losing deals because you're slut shaming them, because you're saying things about them that when the show was airing, there were so many people in Victoria's comments calling her a home wrecker. Like, because about what he said, which is completely false. So it's something. And then imagine a brand going to want to hire you about something, and then they go to your comments and everything that you see is homewrecker, sluts, you know, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah. It's awful. It's awful.
And news media outlets get a hold of this. Like those stupid, I mean, I get it. There's stupid trash magazines and all that kind of stuff, but they like slander your name too, because they take what's being said.
Yes.
The fact that they also believe Reality Steve, that gives him almost more credibility whenever you have a magazine you kind of like or rely on.
That's another thing.
So it's like they're fueling his.
Well, yeah, that's why he feels as powerful as he does, is because he has an audience that believes what he says. And the reason they believe it is because the guy is pretty spot on with spoilers. So that's where the problem lies. Right. He's able to spoil the show. So because he's able to spoil the show, everyone's going to believe the bullshit that he's talking about all the women on the show, which clearly isn't true, and it's coming to light. So
yes.
And that's when it's like he has a little bit of a truth and he attaches his opinion to it, and I've said it before, and all of a sudden it becomes this grand thing where it's like all of it is false. Like whenever it came to Jana and Charity Broads, like he had this whole narrative planned out about her.
Yes.
But there was maybe a sliver of the truth to it. Sorry.
But he knows how much power he has, and he knows like that people are going to take it and run with it. And then it's out there. Once it's out there, once it's spoken, you can't take it back.
Yeah, and we're done. And so we're done with this power. We're bringing this power down. Christina, I have a question for you. What would you say to future contestants on the show? I know Joe had some words for them earlier. And also, what have you learned now from this whole experience? And like, you know, just what do you want people to really know from your experience with Reality Steve in false narratives in general?
Whenever it was between myself and Steve, like I would call him out with something that wasn't true. I'm like, that's not true. Even if he's the only person that hears it, just know deep down, like speak your truth, and that's the best you can do. I mean, at the end of the day, you live with yourself, and it's going to be hard. I just hope he doesn't have any more of a platform to speak on people anymore. Or if he does, it's only just obvious proof. But I know it's hard. You'll get through it, and just keep living well.
Yeah.
And this is really for women.
You won't have anything over your head.
Right. So. And this is for women, honestly, that are afraid to speak out in general. You know,
to me, I'll have your back.
Yes, we will too.
Hey, girl.
Yes.
And guess what? We will too. We love you, Christina. We support you. And we just want you to know that your feelings are valid. And for all the women that have come forward, we support all of you. And let's try not to give this man any more power. Like he doesn't deserve it. He's done so much wrong with it. And
I'm sorry you went through this.
Like, really, absolutely.
It just kind of lasted a few years later, kind of lingered, because I think it has affected my dating life a little bit to the point where it's like, I don't really go on dates because I don't want my name out there and what's going to come back. And it's just, that's my problem, that everything that happened is lingering. Like it had an effect on me. It's not like it was one and done.
Yes.
So.
All I know is that people that know you, like myself, like want you to be happy. So live your life, do what you got to do.
And I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there, Christina, there that want to date you. So,
Christina, when you posting pictures like you do, of course, every man wants to date you, girl. You hot.
Oh my God.
Christina, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on and being honest with us. And hopefully we have you on again and we could talk about something else.
Yeah, lighthearted. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I really, really thank you. And also tell everyone where they can follow you on social, your beautiful Instagram, all the good things.
Thanks. Oh my God, y'all are so supportive. I love you so much. It's just Kristina Schulman basically anywhere except OnlyFans.
She told you.
So it does seem like this has happened to a lot of people, a lot of women in Bachelor Nation. It looks like there's some proof. Tayshia, you showed me a text message. I don't understand the ideology behind all this. I think it's just
and Joe,
pay attention to where you get your info.
And Joe, do me a favor. I am really curious. Just ask some of your guy friends that are in the nation if they've ever gotten a message from him. I'm just curious. Just
me too.
Do that for me. I'm just curious because any girl from my season thus far that I've asked, they're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I will. And you know what? For a lot of the guys, I'll reach out and see if, he's reached out to any of them. And for them also, Bachelor Nation, all the women in Bachelor Nation, support them because we're all a family, a weird reality family, but we got to stick up for each other.
100%.
Yep.
Anyway, we just want to say thank you to all of our listeners. This was a heavy episode, but to be honest with you, it kind of, I feel like, relieves a weight for a lot of people because and specifically Reality Steve is just a dark cloud for a lot of people. And the fact that people are now coming forward, we are taking away his power. And truly, I'm hoping that people could get to start to know people in the franchise for who they actually are, as opposed to hearing these false narratives from this man. So Thank you guys to all the listeners. Thank you so much to Kristina Schulman for coming and being open and vulnerable with us and just really just letting us in. It takes a lot of strength to do that. And we love and support everyone in the franchise.
Yeah. And you know what? Pay attention to where you're getting your information because a lot of it could be bullshit like this. And please make sure to check us out on social, to like, comment, DM us, let us know where you're finding your information. You can follow us at ClickbaitBN on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Share your stories with us. We want to know what you're getting into this week.
Yes. And subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the Wondery app, or wherever you guys are listening right now. Hit the subscribe button, and we will see you guys next week. Hopefully, no reality Steve.
We are taking the power back, people.